It's the middle of the night. You're lying in bed, wide awake. There's no noise. No light. No real reason. And yet, your mind is running. You turn to one side. Then the other. Your body's tired, but your brain won't stop moving. Thoughts loop. Regrets replay. Something small from yesterday feels heavy tonight. You check the time again, 2:13 a.m., and feel your chest tighten. You're not in pain. You're not afraid. But you're tired of this silence, because it isn't really quiet. It's full of thoughts that have nowhere to go. No one to talk to. No place to land. And maybe you've heard it before, just clear your mind, don't think so much, try to relax. But what if the real problem isn't that your mind is too active, but that it has no place to put what it's carrying? What if your brain doesn't need silence to sleep, it just needs a place to set things down? Tonight, I want to give you that place. Not with medication. Not with a routine that overwhelms. But with something simpler and surprisingly powerful. Just a pen. A piece of paper. And one small list that could help your thoughts rest, so you can rest too. Dan was 70 when he came to see me, retired postmaster. Lived alone in a quiet town in Oregon. His blood pressure was stable. His labs were fine. But his eyes told me everything, he hadn't slept well in years. He wasn't up pacing the halls. He didn't have nightmares. He just couldn't let go of the day. He said it like this, it's like my body lays down, but my mind keeps checking the mailbox. Every night was the same. He'd get into bed around 10. Lights off. House quiet. And then his brain would open every drawer it had. Things from decades ago. Names. Conversations. Worries about his kids. Memories of his wife, gone 6 years now. He tried warm milk. Tried breathing apps. Even cut out caffeine completely. But the silence only made the thoughts louder. One night, Dan decided to try something different. Not because someone told him to. But because he was tired of carrying everything into sleep. He pulled out an old yellow legal pad from his kitchen drawer. Sat down with a pen. And just started writing. Not a journal. Not a letter. Just a list. A few things he noticed that day. Something that made him smile. A thought that was bothering him. And one line to his wife, the kind he used to leave on sticky notes by the coffee pot. No rules. No overthinking. Just release. He did it again the next night. And again the next. By the end of the second week, Dan said something that stayed with me. Turns out, I didn't need a pill. I just needed to empty the drawer in my head. So I could finally close it for the night. His sleep wasn't perfect. But it was quiet. And his mornings didn't feel like recovery anymore, they felt like beginning again. What happened to Dan wasn't luck. It wasn't just nostalgia or distraction. There's real science behind why writing, especially before bed, can help older men sleep deeper and feel lighter. As we age, our minds carry more than they can process. Not just memories, but unfinished thoughts. Unspoken worries. Regrets we haven't named. And questions we don't know how to answer. The brain doesn't shut down just because the lights go off. Especially if there's nowhere for all those thoughts to go. And that's where writing, not typing, not thinking, but writing by hand, becomes powerful. Brain hears what happens in your brain when you write. You move thoughts from your hippocampus into the physical world. The hippocampus is your brain's memory and emotional processing center. Writing helps offload that data so your brain doesn't stay stuck in loops all night. You reduce cortisol, your stress hormone. Studies show that expressive writing lowers cortisol levels, especially before bed. That means your heart rate drops. Your muscles soften. And your nervous system prepares for sleep. You activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that says, "You're safe." When you name what's on your mind, the brain feels heard. And when it feels heard, it lets go. You trigger the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and restore mode. Especially if you combine writing with slow breath and dim light, you're giving your body the biological permission to relax. And unlike pills or routines that demand control, this kind of writing is not about fixing. It's about witnessing. Creating space inside yourself by releasing it onto the page. You don't have to be a writer. You don't have to spell everything right. You just have to show up with a pen and let your brain say, "Here's what I'm carrying. I'll leave it here for the night." And that simple act? That's how the mind begins to settle and sleep becomes possible again. Let's keep this simple. You don't need a journal. You don't need a fancy prompt. And you definitely don't need perfect grammar. What you need is a quiet place, a real pen, a piece of paper, and about 5 minutes. That's it. This isn't about writing a story. It's not about solving anything. It's about making space, in your mind, in your chest, and eventually, in your sleep. So here's how to do it. Writing hand when to write about 20 to 30 minutes before bed. Not in bed. Not with the TV on. Just before you lie down while the house is quiet. Couch and lamp where to write anywhere calm. A chair by the window. The kitchen table. Or that spot where you usually sit and think. Turn off bright lights. Use a lamp or soft lighting if you can. Let your body feel like it's winding down. Pen what to write. You're not making a list of chores. You're not writing your life story. You're simply letting your mind empty out, gently. Here are 4 types of lists that work powerfully for men over 60. 1. A gratitude list. Write down 3 things you appreciated today. Big or small. The sound of rain. My neighbor waved. I had a full meal. This helps recenter your focus on what still feels alive. 2. A let go list. Write down 1 thing you didn't finish or couldn't control. Then add, and that's okay for tonight. Didn't return Bob's call, and that's okay for tonight. Still no answer from the insurance company, that's okay for tonight. It gives your brain permission to pause. 3. A note to someone you miss. 1 sentence. To someone alive or gone. I thought about you today when the sun came through the blinds. You would have laughed at that movie I watched. Connection heals, even when it's quiet. 4. A forgiveness line. 1 sentence toward yourself. I'm doing the best I can. I got tired today, and that's alright. I still showed up. It softens the self-judgment that keeps men wired at night. Light bulb. How to write by hand. With intention. And no rules. Don't reread it. Don't edit it. Just write like no one else will see it, because no one will. This is just between you and your mind and the page. And the goal isn't to finish a list. It's to give your thoughts somewhere safe to land. So they don't follow you into your dreams. Because sleep doesn't come when you clear your mind, sleep comes when your mind finally feels heard. No alarms go off. No fireworks. Just small changes, quiet, honest, and real. That's what happens when men over 60 start writing these lists before bed. You don't wake up a new person. But you do wake up a little less burdened. A little more here. Let me walk you through what most men begin to notice in the first 7 days. Spiral calendar day 1. A gentle exhale. The first time you write, you might feel awkward. You'll wonder if it's working. But when you close the notebook, something loosens, like you just set down a bag you didn't know you were carrying. Falling asleep doesn't feel like a fight. It feels like release. Spiral calendar day 3. Less noise in the middle of the night. By night 3, something shifts. You still wake up at 2 a.m., but the panic's not there. Your chest doesn't tighten. Your mind doesn't grab every worry off the shelf. You look at the clock. Then you breathe. And sometimes, you go right back to sleep. Not because the problems are gone. But because they're not in your bed anymore, they're on the page. Spiral calendar day 5. A better morning mood. You pour your coffee and realize, you're not dreading the day. Not grinding your teeth. Not stuck in yesterday's mess. Your shoulders feel lighter. You notice the light outside. You might even hum a little while rinsing your cup. It's not dramatic. But it's real. You feel like yourself again, just a bit more grounded. Spiral calendar day 7. Sleep becomes a place you trust. This is when something deeper happens. Sleep doesn't feel like surrender. It feels like return. You trust it. You walk toward it. Not with pills or distractions, but with presence. You begin to see writing not as a task, but as a way of saying, I've heard my thoughts. I've named my feelings. And now, I give myself permission to rest. And maybe that's all sleep ever needed from you. Writing sounds simple. And it is, when it's done with the right spirit. But I've seen some men try it, and walk away saying, it didn't work. Often, the writing didn't fail them. Their approach did. So if you're going to give this practice a real chance, let's clear up a few common mistakes that can quietly block the benefits. Crossmark mistake number 1. Writing like it's a chore. This isn't a box to check. It's not homework. If you treat it like a task, your brain will resist it. Writing before bed should feel like setting something down, not crossing something off. Try this instead. Approach it like a conversation. Soft. Gentle. No pressure. Let it come out however it wants to. Crossmark mistake number 2. Writing to solve, not to release. You're not here to fix your whole life on paper. You're here to let it breathe. When men write to analyze or control, they usually stir up even more mental noise. Try this instead. Write to name, not to fix. Give your thoughts a voice, not a verdict. Crossmark mistake number 3. Writing on your phone or laptop screens stimulate your brain. Backlit devices increase alertness and delay melatonin release. Even the act of typing can feel mechanical, less connected to emotion. Try this instead. Use real paper. A cheap notebook is perfect. Let your hand do the work. Let your body slow down with it. Crossmark mistake number 4. Writing too late. If you wait until you're already in bed, your brain associates writing with restlessness. The act becomes tangled in your tossing and turning. Try this instead. Write 20 to 30 minutes before lights out. Make it a wind-down ritual, not a rescue plan. Crossmark mistake number 5. Expecting instant sleep. Writing is not a switch. It's a signal. It tells your nervous system, the day is over. You're heard. You're safe. Try this instead. Let go of the outcome. Let writing be enough, even if sleep takes a little while. Because what you're really doing is building a new relationship with rest. One where you're not escaping your thoughts, you're walking them to the door. If you've made it this far, you already know, this was never just about writing a list. Not really. It's about something quieter. Something deeper. Something most men don't talk about, but feel every night when the house is dark and the weight sets in. It's about being fully alive in your own experience. Even if you're alone. Even if the world feels smaller than it used to. Even if no one else reads the words you wrote. Because when you pick up that pen, and you write down what your mind is holding, you're saying, I'm still here. I still feel. I still notice things. And those things matter. That's not therapy. That's not performance. That's presence. The act of writing becomes a quiet declaration that you're not just going through the motions. That you still care enough to pay attention. That even now, especially now, your inner life deserves a voice. And that voice doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. Because better sleep and better mood aren't side effects of a list. They're the natural result of coming home to yourself each night. So tonight, before the world goes quiet, don't just lie down and hope your thoughts disappear. Give them a place to go. Give yourself a place to land. One piece of paper. One pen. One small act of noticing that says, I'm still living. I'm still listening. And I still matter. Let that be the final thought before you sleep. And tomorrow? Let it be the reason you wake up feeling a little more like yourself.